Children, after completing 4 chapters, now today we will move to the 5th chapter, that is presentation of data. Now previously you have learnt about classification of data, and before that you have learnt about collection of data. You know the importance of these two types of or two methods of interpreting data and the statistical tools what are used in collection and classification of data that we have done earlier. And I am sure by now you must have understood that what is basically statistics, and you must be very much interested now that what are the different ways to present the statistics, because now you must have developed so much of interest in this that you know that whatever you have collected, you must be curious to know how to present the collected data. Now here in this chapter we will be moving to presentation. As you know, presentation is very important in everybody's life. As the word denotes, presentation means presenting anything in a proper systematic form, or you can say in an attractive manner. And presentation, you know, that is the core of attracting people towards your study or towards your analysis. Now you must have heard earlier it is said that a thing of beauty is a joy for ever, isn't it? Now what does that mean? This means that anything which is beautiful, that is always admired or liked by people. So same way here, if you are presenting the data in a beautiful manner, in a very attractive manner, so that people are able to understand it clearly, then definitely it is going to make an impact in their mind and they will be interested in going in detail of it. Now another example I will give you, suppose you go to a market for shopping or you want to purchase garments for yourself. If you enter a shop, here in the shop you find that the garments are spread all over the table in a haphazard manner, and there is no proper systematic order of selection of garments of your size or of your choice. What will be your reaction? You will get irritated and you would not like to buy anything from there, and maybe you will move out in few seconds. Why? Because the garments were not presented properly in a systematic order, and that was a pain for you, or that was time consuming for you to select the garment according to your choice or according to your size. Now suppose you go to another shop, and there as you enter the shop you find that garments are put in a systematic order, different size garments are labeled properly and they are put in different shelf or they are displayed properly. Similarly, different color size garments are displayed on other side properly, and clearly everything is labeled. What will be your reaction then? You will spend more time over there, and maybe you will buy more things whatever you planned earlier, because you are attracted towards their presentation, right? So in this way, children, presentation of anything, remember, presentation of any form, either anything or data or presenting yourself, these are very, very important in your life, and I think you'll keep this in mind. Okay, now after understanding the importance of presentation, now let us move to the topic presentation of data. Here we are concerned about the presentation of statistical data in statistics. Now there are 4 methods of presenting data in a systematic order or in a proper beautiful order. We can present the data in 4 ways. One is textual presentation, second is tabular presentation, third is diagrammatic presentation, and fourth is graphical presentation. Now we will take each one in detail, but in this chapter we are concerned only with the tabular presentation. In rest of the chapter, I will tell you how to present the data with the help of diagrams or how to present the data with the help of graph. Okay? So, in this chapter, we will be doing tabular presentation. Now, you must be thinking, what is textual presentation and why we are not dealing with this? Now, textual presentation is a form of presentation in which the data is presented in a descriptive form, in a text form or in a descriptive form. Now, there is no special way to present the data in the text form. The only thing is that you should be little precise. But textual presentation has its limitation, because if the data is too large, then this type of presentation is not suitable, because that will need a lot of explanation, right? And if the data is less, then only textual presentation can be used. Now, I will give you the example for this. All of you must be reading newspaper, right? And in the newspaper, sometimes you must have read that with the help of data, the explanation is given or description is given that so many workers went on a strike in a particular factory, how many reported on duty, as a result of any disturbance, how many industries were closed down. This type of explanation of data, this is known as descriptive explanation. For example, in the case of this Nepal earthquake, the data was given, then this many people got hurt, so many people, they were without the home, or they were affected, so many people died. This type of explanation of data, that is known as textual presentation, and this is only given in words along with the figures. But in statistics, we are not dealing in textual presentation, because this is normally not used in the statistical presentation where the data is very, very large. So, the next one is tabular presentation. Tabular presentation is the type of presentation in which the data is given in the form of table. Now, what is tabular presentation? We will define it. A table is a systematic presentation of data, systematic presentation of data in the form of rows and columns. Now, what is table? A table is a systematic presentation of data in the form of rows and columns. So, when you make a table, then the data is arranged in a proper order, systematic order, and according to the labeled rows and columns, the data is entered in a particular row according to its description. So, this type of presentation is known as tabular presentation. Now, I will give you the format of a table, and I will explain in detail about how to make a table or how to present the data in the form of a table. But before that, let me tell you that a data which is presented in the form of table, that uses rows and columns. Now, what are these rows and columns? Columns are the vertical arrangements of data, and rows are the horizontal arrangement of data. When the data is arranged in the rows according to their descriptive analysis or according to their description, then this is known as horizontal arrangement of data. And columns, they are the vertical arrangement of data. Okay. Now, what are the objectives or what is the importance of making table? First is to simplify complex data. So first objective, what are the objectives of making table? First is to simplify data. As I told you earlier, the data is collected in a raw form, and the raw data is an unorganized data, and it is a very complex form of data. And from the complex data or unorganized data, you cannot make any kind of analysis until and unless you classify them in a proper systematic order, right? So table presentation or making table, that will help you in simplifying the complex data. For example, in your locality, you are collecting the data regarding the number of people living in each family. Now you have gathered the information, but until and unless you classify them into different columns and rows, or you classify them according to the number of males and females, the description, what you have gathered, that will not solve your purpose. So simplification or simplifying data is done with the help of table. You can make one column of the number of females in each household, second column number of males, and then you can at a glance gather the information that how many males are living in a locality, how many females are living in a locality, and along with the number of children. So this way the complex data can be made easy to understand or simple to understand. This is done with the help of tabular presentation. Another is to make comparison. Second objective is to make comparison. Now what do you mean by this? If you write down the data, like for example, if you are noting down the amount of rainfall in Bihar, Madhya Pradesh, Bengal, now here 100, suppose 200, and then you can say 30. Now this is 30 centimeters in a particular year. Now this gives you at a glance the comparison that out of these three, which one has got more rainfall? This maximum is in MP, second is Bihar, and third is Bengal. So this way comparison can be made of any classification of data. It makes easy for you to compare from, the data just looking at the table. So this way it helps in comparison. Third is it helps is to analyze the data. To analyze the data. How? That when you are able to simplify it, when you are able to understand the data, when you are able to make comparison, then obviously you are able to make the analysis also, that what do you conclude, what do you gather by looking out of the looking at the data. So analysis of any kind is possible by looking at the data, and without tabular presentation this analysis will not be that easy, right? So this way it makes comparison, it makes simplification, and it helps in analyzing the data. Fourth is to find out the errors. Now tabulation again helps in finding out your errors. For example, suppose you have 40 children in a class and you have noted down the marks of each and every child Or you can say you have categorized the children on the basis of different subjects, what they have offered. And normally they have 5 subjects. And 40 children you have divided into different categories according to the subjects offered. Now when you do the total, suppose you are getting the total 38. That means you have skipped out 2 children. And in the table, when you are making the table, in the end always there is a total column. Total has to be given. Now when you enter the marks and in the end you find out the total is coming to 38, then immediately you can make out that you have left out marks of 2 children, or you have left out 2 children in categorizing the students on the basis of the subjects. So this way the error can be detected with the help of tabulation. So these are the objectives of tabulation. Now the merits, you understand that it makes, similarly these objectives can be presented in another form. It makes the data simple to understand, it makes comparison easy, right? Then analysis can be done with the help of data or tabulated data, and errors can be found out. So this is the importance or objectives of tabulation of data. Now we will see how the table is made, right? Now before the table, how the table is made, another thing we will take in detail, that is types of tables. Another term, these are 2 types, reference tables and second is summary tables. Now, what do you mean by these 2 types of tables? What are their characteristics? Reference tables, these are for general purpose. These do not have any specific objective in mind. When the table is made or the data is collected and presented in the form of a table and in the form of reference table, then that is not on the basis of any specific purpose. It is just the data bank. That means the whole data regarding anything or regarding any particular, not any particular, regarding general problem in the country or general distribution of population or any other general agriculture production, this type of data is given, then this is known as reference table. This is in the form of data bank, as I told you. That means the whole data is gathered properly and presented in a table form, which is not for any specific purpose but for general purpose. And this is only for reference. That means according to your purpose of inquiry, this data collected or data bank you can use for your reference. This is known as reference table. For example, census of India, that is done after every 10 years. The last census what was done, that was in 2011. So census of India in 2011, that has the whole data regarding the population. It is regarding the number of males and females, regarding the number of children, or you can say it may be regarding the number of working population or dependents in the country, or on the basis of birth rate, death rate, life expectancy, infant mortality. All these are compiled in one distribution, that is census of India 2011. This type of distribution is known as reference table. It is normally given in the form of appendix or in the form of any attached format which has the detailed description of data. So this is known as reference table, whereas summary table, this table is used or this table is made with the specific purpose in mind. Regarding, suppose you want to take the literacy rate of country, you want to find out, then how to find out the literacy rate? There are 2 ways. Either you go and collect the data from each and every household in the nearby areas, or if you want to do the survey of whole country, then it is a tedious work. Then you have to go and find out or you have to appoint different people to gather the information in different states. The another way is that whatever information is collected in reference tables in the form of primary source, that data you can use as a secondary source, and from that collected data bank you can take out the required data which is concerned to your inquiry or which is concerned to your purpose, and then that data is used for a specific purpose. This is known as summary table. So summary tables are used or they are made for a specific purpose, whereas a reference table are just the data bank. The data is collected and that is displayed for use for reference or for any specific inquiry or specific purpose, right? So here we have two types of tables. Now after this, now you must be curious to know that what are tables or how to make a table, because I have told you these facts about table, but still this is in your mind that how to make a table, what is exactly a table format. So don't worry, I am going to give you a format of table, and then after that I will take a particular example, and on the basis of the example I will give you the entries how to fill up the table, so that you are familiar that how to make a table and how to fill up the entries in a particular statistical table. Okay. Now we move to the format of a table. Now here you can see this is the format of a table. Now all the statistical table, especially in statistics, we have a certain format, certain steps we have to follow. Then only we can present the data in a systematic order. Now what is the format of a table? This at the top of the table, first step in making a table is first to write down the table number. So we will take the steps of making table here. What are the steps? Right? First one is, you first at the top of it, first important thing is write down the table number. This is the first one. What does it mean? You know that every person, or you can say every child when he or she is born, they are given a particular name. Why? Because with the help of name you can identify a child or a person. Similarly, table has to be given a name or a number. You cannot name the table, so here we number the table. We give a number. So in a chapter, suppose you are giving 2 or 3 tables and you want to explain a particular table, then how will you identify the table? How will you locate the table? With the help of the number, as we locate a person with the help of the name. So here table number is the first thing given, that is at the top. This help in identifying a particular table, and this table number can be in the form of table 1, table 2, table 3, or in a particular chapter you want to give different tables, that you can name it table 1.1, table 1.2, table 1.3, like this. So this is first thing, table number, right? Now second is at the top, second thing is title. This is another important step. Title. What does this mean? Title means give the description of what you are going to show in a table. This is title of the table. As we name a chapter, the title of the chapter is given. This indicates that what is given in the chapter. Similarly, title of the table gives you the description about what type of data you are giving in the table. Either it is related to agriculture production, or it is related to industrial production, or maybe it is related to exports or imports, or it is related to population or description about any particular school or education level. So whatever these type of informations you want to give, then that you have to specify here in the title, that what is the title of the table, what you are going to show in the table, or the data in of which you can say of which category of data you are going to present in the table. So this is known as title. Now below the title you see it is written head note. This is third important thing, that is head note. Now this is what is head note. The title what you are giving, suppose you are giving agriculture production in a country in the year 2012. Now in the head note you will write down the production, whether it is in million tons, whether it is in lakh tons, whether it is in thousands, whatever units you are using, that has to be given in the head note. That means whatever description you are giving and in what units you are giving the data, that has to be given in head note over here. So this is third. First is table number, second is title, and third is head note. Now after this, here you see that there's a box, right? Now this box contains the whole information. Here you have given the required details here, but this box contains the data or details what you are going to show. Now this box is again made in a systematic order. Left hand side you write down stub head, and then below this we have stub entries. Now this stub head, what does it mean? First we'll take this is the box head. Box head means caption. That means suppose now we take this example that you want to know the number of students in a particular, you can say 11th class, how many boys are there, how many girls are there, how many have opted science, how many have opted commerce. Then in that box head you will write down number of students. This is the main heading because we are talking about the students. This is the box heading or box head, which is also known as caption, because it is the heading of the main content of the data. Now stub head this side and stub entries. Stub head, that gives you the headings of all this. Now you see that this box has been divided into 3. It may be into 5, it may be into 6, but it should not be more than, you can say, reasonable number should be there. It may be maximum 10, not more than that, because otherwise the data will be very complicated one. So each division here, that it gives you column head. This is the column, as I told you, it is a vertical arrangement of data, and each heading of vertical arrangement, that is known as column heading. Now in our example, here we have taken students, suppose, then this column we can divide it into 2 parts, boys, girls, right? So it can again be divided in 2 parts, that I will give you the example later on. And then here the stub entries are done. That means the whole data, whatever you have gathered, you will write down in these rows, which is known as body or field of data or field of table. Now here this field, the data where you are writing, this is also known as cell. Each data represents each cell. So here the main entries you will divide or you will write down according to your collected categories, number of males or females or number of boys and girls. According to each column heading you will enter the data here, right? Now after this you have to make the total over here, total of each column, this is known as grand total, and the total here, which is known as subtotal of each row. So each row, whatever data is given here, total here, same way data and the total here, and this will give you the grand total, right? So this way the data is entered and the total is made for analysis. Now two things you will note down here. One is footnote, another is source note. What do we mean by footnote? Here below the table, footnote is given if needed. Not necessarily, but footnote is given if needed. And what do we mean by if needed here? If any detail what you have entered over here, if any of these detail needs extra explanation, or any figure you want to, or you can say any data what is given here that is not self-explanatory, you want to give detailed information about that, then you can write down the footnote. It should not be very long, it may be in 1 or 2 lines, right? So any extra information you want to give about any particular entry, then that can be entered over here, and normally the asterisk sign is made over here, and then in the footnote also we make the sign this, that means that refers that this explanation what I am giving, we are giving here, that is related to this particular entry, right? Now after footnote there is another important step, that is source note. Now remember that when you are giving the data over here in the table, until and unless you don't explain that what is the source of collecting data, then this data will not have any value. It will be difficult to make others understand that this data is authentic. So normally we give the source note. If it is an original data, you may write down here original data. But if it is a secondary data, it's not the original one. You have taken it from some magazine or some economic survey, or you can say you have gathered the data from the newspaper or any publication. So in that case, you have to specify over here from where you have taken the data. And in this source note, you have to specify the page, the title, the table, all the details has to be written over here so that anybody can cross-check it. Then only your table becomes authentic. So this is the format of table. So third, we have taken head note, then fourth one you can write down here is stub head, then fifth is stub entries, then sixth